Hello, I'm horror cartoonist Dennis St. John. I draw monsters and write twisted tales. As you can imagine, I was a little obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Lucky for me, so were most of my high school friends, all except one friend who stubbornly refused to join the Scoobies. So here we are, 20-some-odd years later. I'm teaming up with Doc Travis, John Teach Landis, and maybe a special guest or two, and we're going to make our friend Michael Poley watch one episode of Buffy a week until he's no longer the Buffy Virgin.
Hey everyone, we're back. Welcome back to Buffy Virgin. We are on Season 4, Episode 7, The Initiative. I'm your host, Dennis St. John. We're joined by our regular guests. Why don't you guys say hi?
Okay, hi, I'm John. I'm on the podcast almost every episode.
Hey, I'm Travis. Always
And they're Virgin.
Hey, I'm Michael. I'm a virgin. I've only seen Buffy up to Season 4, Episode 7, The Initiative.
And then we have special guests this week, Jessica and Quincy from the Sunnydale Fanfic Club, where they read and discuss the best in Buffy fanfiction.
Hi, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting us, guys. I'm excited. This is a great episode.
Yeah. Hi, guys. The louder pitched one is Jessica, and I'm Quincy.
Oh, yeah. I'm Jay for Jenny.
Yeah, welcome, guys. So y'all met Mike through the Buffy podcast
Panel at WhedonCon.
Yeah.
Yes. WhedonCon was so much fun. And that panel was a blast. And it was so hard to not give spoilers. I tried so hard and to make sure that the rest of the panel didn't give spoilers. That was like my job.
All to accommodate Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us stay spoiler-free.
It was a fun challenge, especially because I was sitting right next to him and he was like writing down, I guess, whatever like sounded new. Those were funny notes.
Damn it, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm going to try really, really hard to be spoiler-free again today. I have to be.
Yeah.
Or you'll never invite me back. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast? Because I don't know if everybody's listened to it.
Oh, yeah. So we are the Sunnydale Fanfic Club. And what we do is we read Buffy fanfiction that's out there. We invite those authors to come be on the podcast with us. And we just ask them questions about their story. We ask everything from their writing process to why they made particular plot choices. And then we get our fans involved too. We have a lot of listeners. So we post on our social medias what story is coming up next. And our listeners will ask questions and submit questions to us that we ask the authors on the air. So they get a lot of writing advice questions or, again, plot point questions. And it's really fun. I love getting the authors and like diving deeper into fan fiction, because fan fictions out there are awesome. I don't know if y'all have read any, but you need to. The Buffy stuff out there is great. There's actually a great one about this episode, which is a Spike and Riley fan fiction.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's
Spiley.
good. Spiley, yeah. But yeah, we do every couple or not couple. We do everything, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. Plus, we have contests usually every month, but now it's for the whole summer, where we give like a theme and a challenge object, and writers submit like their fan fictions off of that theme.
Oh, neat.
And it's actually really cool because like the one who won our May, I think, competition, or April, which was like showers, and the challenge object was the frozen yogurt machine, like from this episode. The winner, the story was amazing, and we actually met her at WhedonCon. She came down and was in a different panel with us, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we like to get our winners on the podcast with us and record an episode with them. So it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't listened to our podcast and you love fan fiction, definitely check us out.
yeah, definitely.
Cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. All right. So usually we go into reactions, but last week's episode hasn't posted yet, so we have none. So we will move on to the summary.
The summary.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Riley Finn. Who is this affable TA? We know he has two friends, Sleazy Forrest and Milk-Guzzling Graham. Let's follow Finn as he grades papers, plays the catch, and discusses the peculiarities of Buffy, until Parker compares Buffy unfavorably to a toilet seat, so Parker gets his 4th KO this semester. The knockout is an epiphany moment for Riles McPhinius, who finds out he likes the Buffy, so he immediately goes a-courtin'. Who better to help with the wooing than Buffy's best friend, the heartbroken Willow? Willow gives felonious Finn some sage and well-aged advice. The way to Buffy's heart is through Brie, Cheddar, Monterey Jack.
Cheese?
Meanwhile, Spike finds himself imprisoned in a mysterious but very well-kept-up cage. Enlisting the help of another vamp, and then immediately betraying this vamp, Spike escapes and finds out he's on the Sunnydale campus. After a brief rendezvous with his petite mentholated harmony, Spike, much like Rai Finnegan, only truly has eyes for one girl, Buffy, and begins to hunt her down. There's a party, then a harmony sighting. The cheese talk doesn't go so good.
Cheese?
But before RZA can fizz out, his cheesy pickup lines are interrupted by Xander. Buffy goes a Spike hunting. And Riley also goes Spike hunting? Holy shit, this entire time, Riley and his boys are part of that crazy SWAT team that's been running around campus, and Buffy's psych professor is the big boss. It all culminates in Buffy and Willow's dorm. As Spike tries to eat Willow but can't quite get the fangs up, Commando Riley and his team of doofs scoop up Spike and try to take Willow. That's when Buffy paraphrases the Matrix, shoots off a flare gun, and whomps Riley and his team. In the end, everyone escapes, unrecognized. The next day, Finn the Human again tries to take the initiative with more cultured quips on Buffy, who finds him peculiar.
Cheese?
That's awesome.
Sometimes I write dialogue that I can't read.
That was very Gouda.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to great lines.
Great lines.
I put mine first. Sorry, guys. This is from Forrest. Buffy, I like that. That girl's so hot. She's Buffy. And this one's from Willow. Remember, if you hurt her, I will beat you to death with shovel. A vague disclaimer is nobody's friend. Jenny, you want to go next?
All right. Okay. Gosh, I wasn't prepared for the. All right, I'll do my best. Spike, cheese. Okay.
It has to be as accurate an accent as James Marsters.
Oh no, please. Okay. I was always worried what would happen if that bitch got some funding. I love that line. And then, you're right. A human being in pain has nothing to do with your job.
That's a good line.
Yeah. I did not expect to have to read this. I chose a really long one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is Xander. Okay, it's going to go badly. Well, how about this? We whip out the Ouija board, light a few candles, summon some ancient unstoppable evil, mayhem, mayhem, mayhem. We show up and kick its ass. And then Giles goes, we've been unethical.
That's good. So I chose a line from Riley when he's talking with Willow, and he's saying, I was thinking of asking out Buffy. And Will says, she not here. Just this kind of broken English. She not here. And she just stares off into the distance.
I just like this little exchange between Riley and Graham when they're having their dude chat. And Riley's like, there's definitely something off about her. And Graham just says, maybe she's Canadian.
Your Graham voice is part meathead, part Bill and Ted. Mike, you want to finish us off?
Sure. Yeah. So this is a Willow Spike conversation, which is fantastic. I'm sure we'll talk about it. You came looking for Buffy, then settled. You don't want to bite me. I just happen to be here. And then Spike, don't be ridiculous. I'd bite you in a heartbeat.
The bloodlust, very cool. All right,
That whole scene is so much fun.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
The kill count.
All right. So the kill count's pretty low this episode. I actually thought there was none, but I looked on the Buffy wiki, and they say that the vamp that teams up with Spike gets dusted. But I am going to call the soft serve machine as fatally wounded. And it looks like 7 humans got beat up. Parker's got his 4th KO. So that's the kill count. So why don't we move on to weird noticings and trivia?
Weird noticings.
I say that I think Sarah Michelle Gellar's physical comedy has really improved this season. Her whole soft serve shtick is really good.
The broken yogurt machine is amazing. I love that scene.
And I also like Graham comes to that table with like 3 like things of milk. Like that's a lot of dairy. There's so much dairy this episode.
Oh my god, I did not notice that. That is so funny.
That makes sense though, but I can't say why that makes sense because spoiler.
Quincy?
Yeah, because like all the dialogue throughout like the Broadway conversations, it just seems so weird to me because I feel like that's not how those conversations go in real life. Like, I don't know. I wonder like who wrote this episode because it kind of just seems like they're trying to get the Joss like dialogue into random college guy's mouth, and it doesn't really work out that well.
Okay, well, you guys are bros. Is that how you guys talk?
At one time, probably. I feel like we were pretty close to this kind of level of.
Oh, no, give us more credit than that. This is like a nightmare scenario. This is like, somebody writing a scene where, everyone talked like Valley Girls, talking
I just think the dialogue's delivered poorly. Like the idea is like they're being broy about a girl who is meanwhile being super klutzy, and like they're just being completely obtuse and not connecting the things they're thinking and saying about someone with the reality. And like the guy's too sincere in his the actor is just bad like in that scene. I think the idea is like kind of fit, like you get what they're going for, but they totally fail. And it is weird. Maybe it's the trying to sound like Joss.
I think it's like how rare this show has like 3 men talking and like bro. But it's like, how do we write like normal college guys again? Oh, they say things like mattressable, spa. Like,
yeah.
Well, the episode's written by Doug Petrie, who goes on to write a ton of episodes. And he, if you look at his picture on the internet, he doesn't quite seem like a bro. So maybe he's just kind of, just trying his best here to figure out what like bro-y people would say.
Yeah.
Or maybe they figure like the best bet is to just make them sound like Buffy and crew, but it's an entirely different group of people. Like they shouldn't sound the same.
Yeah.
But and Riley freaking acting like he didn't notice Buffy and just saying peculiar over and over, like, Riley. I can't say anything more than, Riley, because
Mike?
Yeah, so Spike getting kidnapped. I have seen Cabin in the Woods, and this is totally feels like this is the setup that was later, amplified into the Cabin in the Woods storyline, because Spike in a cage is crazy, like this Matrix-like environment. And then the fact that he thinks Buffy does it is really funny. And of course, they're cutting back to klutzy Buffy, like literally almost, she's struggling to be a human. And then like Spike is like imagining that she's responsible and the Scooby Gang got wise is really funny and off. I really enjoyed that sequence.
Yeah. Well, I love that connects back to Cabin in the Woods. I love Cabin in the Woods. Wait, yeah. And oh my god, Spike's like makeup for that scene, the freaking extremely chapped lips that like look like they're breaking and the weird bruise on like one eye.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much good. But there's so much good of like that one bit where he's like trapped in the cell and then that's gone kind of quickly.
I like that they had to add like the electric image to him touching the glass or plastic because that looks so flimsy. If I could just push that over. Let's see, Mike.
Oh yeah, so all the Xander Giles stuff this episode feels incredibly unlikely. Like these people can't stand each other, shouldn't be in a room together, and then are like doing military planning and like military prep stuff together. It just feels so off. And the show is kind of like, oh, these guys, they're not in college, so they can just be hanging out together. And like, it just feels, everything about the scenes feels so awkward. I mean, I'm not enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It just like the unlikeliness is really fun. It's not quite Harmony Spike level unlikeliness, which is so good, but it's close.
Yeah, I guess at this point, Xander and Giles are kind of the B team.
Yeah,
they're like they don't go to college. They're just sort of like, well, I guess we have to hang out with each other because everybody else is doing things.
Everybody else has moved on.
Yeah,
I wish there was like an extended scene where like a campus security guard catches them on campus with all this like requisitioned milk. No, neither of us go here. We're protecting the campus.
So I want to know about this requisitioned military equipment. So Xander he says, when I was military guy, but that was one night. And
He held on to the memories for a while, right? That's why he was able to get the rocket
launcher.
Yep. Okay. So how much of a like arsenal does Xander have in that basement?
Looks like it's one table.
Does he decide is appropriate to bring it out? What's he saving it for? I have a lot of questions.
Like, honestly, maybe he just straight up got it, like, within him having nothing else to do because they went to college.
I'll buy that.
Like, so much of this episode is just, like, him and Giles figuring out what the hell their purpose is anymore.
Yeah, they're not only, like, as people, like, lost, but the writers are, like, a little lost.
What do we do with them?
Yeah.
It's interesting to juxtapose that team with the initiative. I guess we'll get into that.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, this is kind of like, I realized really early, but the guy who plays Riley, Mark Lucas, like, just kind of seems like the typical actor that you cast as a cop. And I literally just saw him last Monday as a cop on his new show called Dietland on AMC.
Huh.
Like, he literally shows up for one scene.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Mark Lucas's post-Buffy career. It makes sense if he'd get jobs as a cop, but that's sad to me that he'd only show up for one scene. I hope he...
Yeah, but it was cool. It was like, oh, hey, there you are. Because he was in that movie Night and Day, and that's all I've seen of him.
Huh.
I saw an interview with him and really briefly on at a con or something on YouTube, and the impression of him out of character is exactly the same as Riley. Like, he's just sort of like, friendly and kind of doofy. Like,
that's interesting. I feel like it's maybe too early to discuss Riley, but I want to say, like, I feel like they're trying to write him as a kind of Steve Rogers character, right? And
yeah,
like, I just think it works a lot better when you're actually writing Steve Rogers than this guy.
I guess that makes sense because he's super square, like literally has to ask advice on how to take out a girl and then runs a military operation on the side. Like, he's definitely an Archie Comics military character, like super weird. But yeah, I guess Captain America is the closest thing you would think of.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm so wholesome, but also I fight monsters. John?
I feel like in the last handful of Parker episodes, I think I'm worried I may have come off as a little bit of a Parker apologist. Obviously, in this episode, if anybody had any lingering little bit of sympathy for Parker, once he makes that toilet seat comment, God,
that is an awful.
I mean, we get the satisfaction of seeing him get punched out again, but like,
and we don't see him get up. By the way.
Well, Quincy has this thing where she loves Parker.
No, because
really?
He's so pretty, and if his entire speech when he was trying to date Buffy was genuine, like, I would have fallen for that. But he turns out to be just an awful, awful human being, and this last episode shows how awful a human being. It's just so sad. He's so pretty.
Is he still so pretty after the toilet seat comment, Quincy?
I mean, obviously no, but objectively, he's still so pretty.
Why don't we ask a doctor how his brain's doing after this?
he's not going to be making many more speeches after this
Yeah.
fourth date. Also, Quincy, I like the idea of you like having like the remote and like muting muting the TV whenever he's talking, so you don't have to hear like these horrible things he says. And it's like, oh, I'm just kind of living in this world where there he is. You don't hear it.
He's so
That's a really good idea.
Parker. Just muted it. Yeah.
Poor Parker.
She
He has
will
one nice
actually
speech
do
and
that.
He gets beat up all the time.
No, like something that's very important about my personality, like for the movie Titanic, I didn't watch it all the way through until I was like 17. Every other time, like either my mom stopped it or I stopped it right before the iceberg hit. And then the first time I watched it all the way through, it was very sad. So I haven't watched it all the way through since then.
Wow.
So that says a lot about me avoiding stuff in my personality.
No, it's okay. You can decide when it stops.
This is a little unrelated, but I just this week found out that Billy Zane isn't in The Mummy. I really thought he was the Mummy. He's not in the Brendan Fraser Mummy. It's somebody else.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I haven't seen them.
Zane update. Billy Zane update.
What else is Billy Zane not in?
Well, he's in Titanic. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. He seems like he would be in that movie. It really fits. He'd be in The Shadow, maybe. Any of these like old timey. Could be a radio play first.
Yeah, he's in The Phantom, so why isn't he in The Mummy and The Shadow? Wait, is he in The Shadow? He might be in The Shadow.
I don't know. That's update next week.
I know he's in The Curse of the Leprechaun from the Sci-Fi Channel, which is like the first time Sharknado is mentioned before it's a series. Is in that.
New podcast, you guys. We just watch random movies and look for Billy Zane.
Listen, I can give you some psych episodes that Billy Zane stars in, if you really want. Just after the show.
I'll take that rec. Travis?
Oh, yeah. I love dark, depressed Willow in this episode. She's so great, so honest. And when she's sort of like just being real dark with Riley, he's like, oh, whoa. Also, Riley has this great line where you just, I think he walks in and it says something like, I'm not interrupting some depression, am I, or something like, geez. She seems like she's like hurting in a really realistic way for college, I just think it's pretty great scene with her. And also, I was going to bring this up, but you brought up in the summary. I thought Cordelia liked Brie. I thought that was one of her weaknesses on the prom board.
It's unclear if she likes it or hates it.
I thought she hates Brie based on...
It's like Xander and Brie were the weaknesses.
She hates Brie, which is why she doesn't want to go to a gathering, as in she would like to go to a hootenanny. But then on the board of her strengths and weaknesses that Buffy makes when they're for Homecoming Queen or whatever, it's listed 98. It's listed as a weakness.
What?
So it's not her weakness because she can't resist it. Presumably, it's her weakness because she's terrified of it
and doesn't like it. Okay.
Is it just Brie or is it like all soft cheeses?
No, just as Brie.
I mean, it could be like a synecdoche, like we're just using Brie as a stand-in for other cheese.
They're just trying to take her down any way they can. That's what little they remember.
Yeah, they've been friends with Cordelia at this point for like 3 years. They have like this little knowledge of her.
Yeah.
They were
Throw
never
Brie at
listening.
Mike?
Man, Xander in the woods, really rocking the Shaggy look. Like, I know they call him the Scooby Gang, but man, he's really leaning into the Shaggy mystery solver in that section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this entire TV show, they never have a dog.
It's true. They should have Matthew Lillard play Xander just for one episode and never acknowledge it. Just to.
Would that have been at the same time? When did the Scooby-Doo movie come out?
I don't know.
I think it came out during the 6th season.
Oh wow, that late.
Yeah.
So they totally could have dropped in a Lillard.
Yeah. Quincy?
Yeah, like, oh my god. I know that it's been like established that Spike doesn't really care about Harmony, but like the lazy nicknames he was calling her when he came back to the lair, it was like, oh, my vanilla latte, my creme brulee. And then near the end, when she's still talking, he's just distracting. He's like, my mentholated pack of smokes. Like, he doesn't even care that she's there anymore. I'm just like, oh god, that's like perfect for this entire scene.
And I like how he calls her creme brulee, and she's like, "Ooh, Italian," and he's like, "Yeah, sure," and get used to it.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing out the menthol thing, because I didn't even realize he was still talking about her.
Yeah.
No, he was trying to think of something else cute to talk, but he didn't care, and he just wanted to smoke. So he's like, my mentholated pack of smokes.
Yeah, I wrote those all down, and you nailed them all. So.
Because that was just so great in showing how little Spike cares about Harmony.
I also love Harmony putting up the unicorn posters in the lair. I really like. I think I mentioned this last time Harmony was on, but like, usually vampires are supposed to have like a personality change when they like become vampires, and it doesn't happen to Harmony at all. And it's both interesting, like from like how our like view of vampires have changed, but it's just like so charming for a vampire to be acting this way.
I can't believe the way they shot that. Oh, I guess you're about to talk about it anyway.
No, we can talk about it now.
Oh, just the Xander Harmony battle scene too. Like that was just so messy and weird with the slow motion slap fight, but it didn't really get pulled off. Even in slow motion, it was just like strange. What a weird choice. It's fun. They're fun. I want to watch more of Xander Harmony stuff happening, but wow.
Yeah, just like after all of Xander's talk about being ex-military and stuff, like, and all these years of being on the field, he still can't fight at all. And Harmony, is still Harmony. Like, why did she call him like a sissy kicker?
That's why it was in slow motion. It's like Xander's big fight scene with all of his knowledge.
He's so useless in this episode. This is the one moment he gets to shine, and shine so brightly.
Yeah.
No, I think this fight in particular was definitely very difficult to choreograph. Just like, how do you choreograph all this randomness? Like, if you're choreographing a fight scene, you have like moves that you can do and stuff. This is just like everywhere, all over the place. How do you choreograph this? Is it improvised? That's my question. Most likely.
I bet this was improvised.
Maybe like with some instruction, like they did it first, and then they were like, okay, wait, you aren't grabbing her hair enough. Like, wait, it looks like Xander's getting up her hand, Harmony do this, and this. Like, because you can't tell them what to do in this situation, I don't feel.
I feel like grabbing her hair would be the easy thing to do to like win that fight, and the fact that Xander doesn't, I feel like that's probably the only direction is don't grab for the hair.
Yeah,
and kind of like, keep it up high. Don't hit the hair, or but also don't go to the ground.
Yeah. Ground would feel like real danger, right?
Well, I mean, they're the same size, so maybe not.
John, you got a fun fact we skipped?
Yeah. I just want to say that, so Riley tries to, pick Buffy up at the party by saying, hey, how about that theory we studied in class? And then he offers her some cheese when that doesn't work. And I would like to say that if I'm ever at a party and someone wants to seduce me, they're coming up and being like, hey, how about that theory? And here's some cheese would totally work on me. I'd be melting.
Everyone, John's weakness is cheese.
And theories.
And the song that comes on, that's like the Dingo song that makes Willow sad, that actually was a song used in a previous episode, I feel. And that song is actually really good. Like, I wanted to hear the whole song.
Stupid Willow with her heartbreak wouldn't let you.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh," when the song went off, and I felt the same way. But I understand why they changed it.
there's some demon mixtape stuff going on here because just really quickly because Riley says it's a tape, but there is no cassette mechanism sound that happens when they change it, and they change tracks on a dime. There's no rewinding or fast forwarding. Definitely a demon mixtape.
All right. Thanks, John.
Riley, after this music scene, goes up to Buffy and talks to her about Willow. And like, I see the height difference between them. And I never noticed it before until this moment, but it's such a huge height difference. And it's really funny. I just got married on the 15th of June. So it's like about a week ago.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's the day after I got married.
No way. Oh my God. Congratulations.
And welcome to the surprise episode of the Newlywed Game.
Right. No, but it's funny because my husband, I almost called him fiance. This is really weird. He's so tall and I'm so short. And there's this moment, he has a twin brother and I have an aunt who's exactly my size, and they took a picture together. And I'm like, oh my God, is that the height difference between me and my husband? That is insane. Like,
Yes,
I didn't never notice. Yeah, it was really bad. And that just happened. And then I just saw it right now with Riley and Buffy. And I'm like, okay, wow, that is weird. Like, what do people think when they look at us?
There was
They
even
see
a height
Riley and Buffy.
difference. There's a height difference when y'all were at the altar. You were wearing like 5-inch shoes,
Yeah, it was
and it
bad.
was still the insane height difference.
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me.
Well,
Yeah.
it's super clear who the little spoon is. I mean, that's the first thing, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's also interesting because that means you've had like a personal emotional reaction to Riley and Buffy, which I think is pretty unusual.
Yeah.
Well, like Riley's not her favorite, but she likes Riley.
I do love Riley. I do absolutely. Like, if Riley walked into my life, ooh, like, I don't know.
You have to annul the marriage like now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's really cute. Sorry. I know people don't like Riley, but
No, you don't
I
have to
mean-
apologize. If that's how you feel. That's how you feel.
yeah, I'm not apologizing.
He's just got that typical like 90s male haircut, like the cool grungy haircut, but it's on the wrong personality. Like, he's got that Skeet Ulrich kind of, whatever you call that 90s like male haircut.
I completely agree. His hair does not work with him.
It's too good for what he like went to the right barber or the right stylist, but doesn't know, like, didn't make the choice himself. He was like, oh, like Details magazine, make me look like.
Yeah, I feel like
But this
Graham's haircut like matches Riley more. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't really work with like his rank either, which is weird.
Oh,
So
man.
Undercover, you
now
guys.
that we're into all this Riley talk, let's talk about the big reveal that happens like just right now at the 26-minute mark, as Mike points out.
Oh yeah, because I had to like pull back the tape on Hulu to see what the F just happened. Because Riley, with his unsuspecting haircut, gets the retinal scan and then goes down an elevator with these guys from the party that they're at. Like, I was
Forrest
shocked.
and Graham.
I was so shocked when this happened. I had to like kept rewinding because like, no, this can't be the. I kind of knew something was going to happen because of the Cabin in the Woods style vibe of the intro, but I did not expect Riley to be involved in this. It made no sense. He comes across as an idiot. He needs help getting basic information about women in order to move on. Like, for him to have a secret hideout and a secret military identity, like, there's no clue that that's happening. He barely.
I love this
This is
reaction.
great.
He barely knows what's going on around campus. He's like, this Buffy girl's kind of nice. Like, doesn't know that she's a demon hunter, has no inkling of an idea. Like, but they're constantly going after demons, apparently, with the secret hideout. Like, it's just, he's got to be so obtuse. So obtuse that he doesn't even recognize that these identities that he's putting out there are so different, in which case it's the perfect secret identity. But I was totally shocked. There's no way, like, it just doesn't make sense for Riley.
It means Riley was probably not the SWAT guy who bumped into Buffy the last episode, and they had their
it can't be.
gun bans.
be
It
him.
had to be a different guy because he would have recognized Buffy, right?
Yeah.
But was one of the SWAT guys Riley in the previous scene?
Well, they're in masks, so it's hard to tell, right?
Yeah. Probably, but yeah.
Maybe they saw each other on Halloween.
I mean, so does anybody else does this, I guess, John, you were going to ask this, does his identity make sense?
My problem with his identity is that he is apparently a graduate student who lives on campus and goes to frat parties.
It is confusing.
Uncool.
Is he an undergrad TA somehow?
No, he's definitely a grad student. I think that's specifically mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but those existed in my school, so it can be a thing.
Okay.
And it isn't even that weird because they're always there. Maybe that's what his deal is.
Did they say what he's getting his master's in?
I assume
Probably
it's
psychology.
right?
Yeah, but psychology barely makes sense for the style of thing that they're doing. If you're going to be an underground organization that's taking out vampires and shit, shouldn't you also have some kind of paranormal subject that you're mastering in versus psych? Psych is so it's such a soft science compared to the harder science of stuff. They've got people in cages that they're examining and then putting in neurological implants. Those didn't come from a fucking psych class. That's a neurobiology or they're looking at the human brain, not from Psych 101 classes that they're teaching about are you familiar with humans' basic impulses for shelter and sex? These people are...
Also, how is Professor Walsh the head of the whatever division she's the head of, which will be in a later episode, but as the psych? I can't see the need for psych in the operation.
Well, I mean, it's not she's not doing art therapy. It's she's an intense behaviorist. It's not that kind of psychology.
It's she's doing Pavlov dog experiments on humans. I also want to point out that
prison experiment.
the doctors who interact with Spike, one of them is wearing a frat bro bead bracelet. So I really think all of the doctors, all of the people operating in the initiative, also have cover identities on the campus, and they're all
they're all grad students or professors.
For some reason,
but they have to be in
campus,
different. But they have to be in different departments. They can't all be in psychology.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe some of them are in English, some are in history. Deep cover, the history professors, the one who makes the blood that drugs everyone. I don't know.
That professor who taught the media studies in the first episode is hypnotizing vampires with televisions in the background.
Well, works on Hellhounds or whatever.
Yeah. When we see the initiative, I'm pretty sure they're reusing some demon costumes. I think I saw the squid face from The Wish on a table.
We're going to get into that in predictions.
Oh, okay, cool. And I say Riley assigns one unit to scour all the sewers and cemeteries, while everyone else gets the campus and the perimeter. That one unit is doing the heavy lifting. You know how many sewers and cemeteries are in Sunnydale?
I saw that note while I was actually watching the episode. That made me laugh.
Yeah. Because if Spike had actually run away further, then they never would have caught him. But he's one-track minded.
Yeah. And he still, for some reason, thinks that the Slayer is involved in this.
Does he at the end still think that she's involved?
Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
But the funding, though. I love that line. But no, it's really funny. So we've already established that Xander and Giles are completely useless in this episode. And it's so funny. They give Buffy a flare gun, and they're like, shoot it if you need us. And it's first of all, what are you going to do if she shoots a flare gun other than just show up and die? And second of all, you're waiting indoors. You're not going to see the flare gun go off at all. So that was interesting. Still, they're completely useless.
But it's such the loops you have to go through to have the flare gun scene. You're we have to establish the flare gun. We have to mention it multiple times, just so that Riley can get blinded and not see Buffy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, just the narrative loops that it takes for that.
Completely useless.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Flare gun indoors sounds super dangerous, and it is.
Yeah, like
You heard it here
with the with like the moment of like blurriness where Riley's right in front of Buffy and he straight up can't see, like, is he blind now? Like, is he
Blind
gonna have
forever.
vision problems?
That could be a prediction, Mike. You care to predict if Riley is permanently blind?
He's absolutely not. They talk afterwards. There's another scene afterwards.
Correct. Yeah.
Totally healed.
Like, does he have vision problems? Like, I feel like that would be bad.
Dr. Travis, if you get like a flare gun in the face, is that bad for your vision?
It probably will lead to PTSD. Just the experience. traumatic experience.
So flare guns are only moderately dangerous indoors. You'll heal though.
John, you have a interesting point here.
So it's interesting that Spike doesn't need an invitation to enter the dorm room where Willow and Buffy are living. I'm not sure if this is just a writing oversight or if maybe there's like something subtle being said about how dorms aren't really home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's an interesting point. I never thought about this before, but in the first episode of this season, the vampires enter people's dorm rooms.
Right.
So yeah, dorm rooms don't have the same protection. I wonder why.
Well, do you mean like the room or the dormitory in general?
Well, both, I guess, because Spike goes into both. He goes into Willow's room and grabs her.
I think in this episode, Willow said, come in.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she did.
I'm just an idiot then. Never mind.
The politeness of dorm life leads.
But earlier with Sunday the Vampire, like earlier in the season, right? Like they're going in and taking people's stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, they leave the note somehow, so they definitely have to go in the room to do that.
Well, they killed him.
Once the
That's after they killed him, yeah.
But dorm people always have roommates.
Yeah.
So somebody's still living there. There's still protection, right?
Yeah.
You got to kill them in pairs.
So Willow says, "Come in." Oh,
Yeah.
She does.
They should know better. They should know better than to like let people.
Yeah, but it's college. It's safe now, which doesn't exist. But there's like a question about like. There's a question about updating the security of dorm rooms because my dorm was so freaking annoying. It's like you had to unlock one set of doors if it was nighttime to get to the front desk, and you had to unlock another set of doors to actually get into the building and go up to your room. Like, is dorm security gone up since 1990, whenever this was?
I remember my dorm room had you needed a key card to get in one way, but you could just go in through the front desk without any key card. Like,
no, like, because with mine, like, if it was daytime, then the front door to the front desk is just like open, but you had to have a key to go past the front desk into the actual like lounge and everything. So maybe
mine was not that intense. I just needed the key for the door.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, mine at school is just weird then. Because I'm thinking like maybe like someone saw this episode like or thought about this and updated security.
I don't think they saw this episode. I think they saw maybe some Earshot era episodes or something about guns on campus. That'd be great though if someone was designing it to prevent vampires from getting into dorms.
Sprinkling holy water everywhere, all over.
The sprinklers are just filled with holy water.
And there are secret crosses that we don't even see. That would actually be kind of dope. I wonder if like any superstitious people have like secret crosses embedded between like the walls to make sure the vampires stay away. I'm just saying this could work.
100% that is happening. People are superstitious AF.
If there's a Buffy reboot, I'm submitting this.
Do crosses work if the vampire can't see it?
See, that's another question we have to see about. But I feel like it could, because you can't see like the curses and stuff. That like I don't know.
So we know crosses hurt when they touch them. Does it like just being in their presence hurt? Like, does it hurt their eyes to look at them?
It seems like there's like a cross.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because like if the vampire's going for the neck, I feel like they get repelled before they actually see that the cross necklace is there, and then they see the cross necklace is why they got repelled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the size of the cross matter? Is it?
I like this. I feel like this is the thought.
But literally, churches are cross-shaped, right? That's like they have the nave and the altar, right? So like there are large
Oh, that's
crosses.
the one.
Not all
Okay,
churches,
cool.
but a lot of churches, even modern churches, are cross-shaped.
Right.
With the long altar and the two
So
side
if a vampire is like skydiving,
pieces.
steer away.
But once it starts to scale up, it's fine.
So this is night skydiving that the vampire is doing, right?
Yeah, night skydiving. Church is lit up by the church outline is lit up. Yeah.
See, this is fun because this is the type of thought that like goes into fanfic, but we don't actually like discuss it with authors.
Yeah, world building is fun. So many rules.
Yeah. I'd say, how small is the freshman class at UC Sunnydale that Rosenberg and Summers are on the same page when Spike's trying to find the dorm room? Also, I'm surprised Spike can use a computer, but good for him.
He's
we
only
learned
100.
his age.
Yeah.
I think we knew that. Yeah.
Wait, if this is... Wait, Mike, have you seen Angel at all?
Yes, I've seen some Angel. Yeah.
Yeah, because if this is the same time as season 1 of Angel, then computers are a thing by now. So...
Yeah, I mean,
and Angel's really bad at
I
it.
know Angel can use a computer because he uses like 2 at once to like find out who was murdered in all of LA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Because that's so funny because he breaks into a library to use a computer in Angel. Yeah, he's so out of it. He doesn't-
I hope no one tells him to deliver.
Oh, right. Disastrous.
So there was apparently a fan rumor that they were going to kill Willow this season. So the writers, or Doug Petrie, really tried to make it look like Spike was going to kill Willow in that scene. And I think it's more effective actually on TV when there's a commercial break. You see him going to bite, and then it pulls out to the dorm room, and then it goes to commercial. But like without that commercial break, it's like, no, she's fine.
Okay, I don't know how to word this because the whole "I bite you in a heartbeat" conversation isn't charming. Like, it's there for comedic effect. It's super weird and problematic. But it's just, okay, Spike's great. Spike's adorable in the scene. He can't actually hurt you. So it ends up being weirdly, slightly charming, but we still shouldn't call it charming because, he would have killed her. And Spike confuses me, okay? I'm just saying, it's a great conversation for the "I bite you in a heartbeat."
It's one of those moments where you mute your TV, Quincy, and you just look at the pretty face.
I just feel like even Willow gets confused in this because she does seem to genuinely be consoling him for a minute. She's like, well, maybe we can wait a half hour and try again. And then she's like, wait, no.
Yeah.
I should hit you with a lamp.
Yeah.
That's my problem with this scene as just as like in the story is like, I mean, aside from what is also problematic about it, like, but this like as a story thing, it requires Willow to play along. And there's no story reason for Willow to play along at all. It doesn't make any sense. It's just nonsense.
But she's such a good actress. We're like, sure, is this what's happening? And we're like interested in, seeing how it plays out. Because I mean, clearly it's the erectile dysfunction joke that's like super.
But it's also, it's totally that, yeah. But I was also thinking it's connected to like what Willow and Spike's weird relationship is, because there's like consoling she does after he kidnaps her in season 3, right? Or is that season 2? No, it's season 3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But after Drew dumps him the first time and like to make a spell, right? And then like she ends up doing like comforting on him then. Like they have a weird, like they haven't spent too much time together, but when they have, it's been pretty weird.
Yeah, we've done a Willow Spike fanfic, right, Jay?
Not yet. I don't think so.
Like, if we haven't done a full Willow Spike, we've done one with a bit of Willow Spike, and actually, like, is a really interesting. Interesting stuff comes out when you actually get them like on the same side and being friendly.
Yeah. And then there's also Vampire Willow. If you could have Vampire Willow and Spike meet, she would totally be like the dom in that relationship.
Yeah, I've read that. I've read a lot of that one. We just haven't interviewed the author, but that was definitely an interesting one.
I like Dennis is speculating that exists, and you're like, yeah, it's good.
It exists. I think we couldn't contact the author to get her on the show, but that one definitely exists. I've read like 10 chapters of it.
Nice. So I think Forrest thinking Willow could have been turned really shows that the initiative doesn't know anything about vampires yet. Like, you can't turn somebody when they're still, like, Willow's clearly still alive, so she couldn't have been turned. They clearly don't know shit about vampire lore yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Jetty?
Yeah, I was just going to say they have some great shots of the UCLA campus in this episode, too. There was a point in my life I wanted to go to UCLA just because they filmed Buffy there. But, yeah, I went to Cal State LA instead. But, yeah, no, I've actually been to the UCLA campus because they filmed Buffy there. And, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice
campus. Also, for her 17th birthday, we went to Torrance High, where they used it for Sunnydale High.
Yeah, I really did.
It was right after school, and like drama was and like choir and stuff were still going on, and we probably weren't supposed to be there, but it was fun.
Yeah, we totally ditched school to go to a different school. It was great.
Yeah,
I feel like you get away with that when you're still 17. It's a little harder when you're in your like 20s or 30s.
All you need is a car that's spray painted over the windows.
It's the only way to show up to that school.
Or a giant creeper van. I was just saying that this feels like the most unfinished episode of the so far. It feels like nothing really happens. It's so much in like part one or act one. You know, a lot of things got revealed, but nothing got resolved by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
It's
So
pretty much exposition, like setting stuff up.
Yeah, this is something that starts to frustrate me more as the series goes on, is like the episodes start to spread out more. We get less of like a full story. Why don't we move on to questions for the group?
Questions for the group.
Mike, why don't you start us up?
Okay, sure. So riffing on the Riley, Buffy, Willow thing happening this episode, did anyone ever enlist you, or did you ever enlist anyone for insight about someone when you liked them? And the follow-up question is, what would Willow say about you? Like, if they were to say, like, oh, you want to get with, with Landis or, Quincy, they're really like X.
I'll go first. It would probably, enlisting someone on the inside, like literally every single person I've liked, I've already been friends with them, so I haven't had to enlist anyone. Like, I mostly had to keep it a secret from other people that I liked them before they knew, I guess. And then, what would they say about me? Like, she really likes TV, Marvel Avengers, like, maybe give her some seafood, like, she'll argue with you, but it's fine, like, stuff like that. Like, so many of my conversations start with pop culture. It's just like, talk about TV or something that's happening on Twitter or like something like that, and you're good.
I've never like enlisted help for someone that I've liked, but I've been in Willow's shoes where people ask me about other people. So yeah, that's me. Huh. But what would they say about me? They'd probably say I like fan fiction and pugs. I love pugs.
Like, have you ever seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer? If not, literally watch one episode.
Actually, I would want to be with someone who hasn't seen it so I could watch it with them. That'd be like relationship goals.
I feel like for you, you're really open to like people suggesting shows, because I made her watch Black Mirror, Stranger Things, a lot of stuff. Yeah. So I feel like that would be good for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been clever enough to think about trying to enlist an insider for tips.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good move.
You can't do that. It doesn't work in real life, because like you're gonna go and be like somebody's best friend and be like, I'm trying to date this person. They're immediately gonna go tell them. Doesn't work.
That's true. You break your secrecy, and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
You
No,
can't
I
be
totally.
mysterious.
Yeah. In Willow's shoes, I would have totally told Buffy.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
Your TA is trying to mac on you. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Make him change his haircut first, but then.
I feel like for me, it'd probably be spicy food. I like spicy food.
He likes
Monsters.
spicy food.
He likes insanely spicy food. Let's be honest.
For me on this one, I've definitely been enlisted even recently for information about someone. But I've been married for a long time now, and I think looking back at that, like I definitely didn't enlist anyone for information. Not directly, but when I met the woman that I eventually married, like I do remember asking, like, where did she come from? That kind of questions to people, and they're like, oh, you guys are perfect, blah blah blah. But like I didn't get any insight except that you guys would be great together, which was, I think, psychologically, like that forms some pathway in your brain where you're like, yes, this is good. And that happened, but not like specific information about like, oh, she likes X. And then for tips about me, he likes Mexican food and podcasts. So like, ask him about podcasts.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tried to get insider information. Much like Dennis, I'm the same way. I think when you revealed the secret, then for me it's like the power is gone that you had. But
The power.
well, whatever small amount you had, you're like, oh gosh, you show your cards too early. I feel like nowadays, Mike and Dennis and John, they would say things like, Travis is a dinosaur. Do you like something totally impractical? Great, mention it. He'll be all over it. I feel like nowadays these guys would really.
Do you have a reel-to-reel?
I would say ask him about hi-fi audio equipment.
No, I think it'd be like, do you like something totally impractical? Lead with that.
Reel-to-reel hi-fi
Do you
audio
like
equipment.
any show that isn't Buffy or Angel? Don't bring it up.
Oh, no, please. Or they'll be like, oh, he works all the time, so he's dying to meet you. I mean, it'd be like, yeah. So I think that's probably what they'd say. They'd be pretty funny and mean about it.
Vintage photography.
Well, yeah, there's the impractical aspect.
Yeah.
I already covered mine, theory and cheese. That's
Sweet.
it.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, that leads to my question of just who doesn't like cheese? Like, I mean,
Sorry.
unless you're lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I have a dairy allergy, and I got that when I was older. So the hardest thing to give up was cheese. But after a while, it's like I can't even look at cheese. I don't like cheese anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
It was the hardest thing to give up, and now it's like the hardest one to go back to.
So you might say it's your weakness.
Yeah. If someone threw brie at me, I'd be
Weakness
down.
is so confusing.
would lead to a
Weakness, it either means you love it too much or you'll die from it. It's so confusing.
I mean, I had a roommate who was lactose intolerant, and he would still take his like lactate pills for cheese because like he couldn't give up the cheese.
Yeah.
I also asked, and I looked up the word, but like, what do you guys think Teutonic is? Because
I also looked it up. I was
it's
like, what?
It's like it means you're like of a Germanic like
Tribe.
Yeah, he's saying he's Aryan.
It's a Nazi joke.
What?
Yeah.
It's a Nazi joke. He even
But,
says
like-
Nazi.
But like Buffy clearly thinks it means something else, right? Because she's like, he's a doof. He's not Teutonic. And then when he's like being more misogynist, she's like, that's so Teutonic. And I don't know if I just don't know if like how they're playing this joke.
It's weird. It's weird also because Xander is dropping knowledge.
Yeah.
It
Wait,
does.
it literally just means German?
Yeah, it's
Like-
a type of German tribe. So that's what it refers to historically. And then eventually there were these Teutonic Knights, which was this kind of military order. Ooh, my computer. So it doesn't mean like the name doesn't mean anything. It's like calling somebody Irish or calling somebody, from Ohio.
I think it's almost exactly like he's calling him
From
Aryan, but he's just using the slightly more obscure term instead.
She said it's a Teutonic Knight. Teutonic Knight would kind of make sense because he was a military figure trying to protect people, but
So Xander somehow was able to read that this dude's military.
yeah, so it doesn't make sense. So, yeah,
Like-
it's just Just a
I
fail.
think they just needed a funny word, and like maybe Doug Petrie like actually knew what that word means, so he put it in, and no one argued with him because it sounded funny.
It's a Teutonic boy toy is a good like sounding phrase.
Yeah.
Great band
Jay,
name.
I think you got the big question for Mike here, or maybe it's for all of us.
Yeah, well, yeah, sorry, it's for Mike. But, well, I guess everyone can answer it, but I was mostly seeing, how do you feel about the initiative so far and, like, what your concept of what they do?
Sure. So I'm kind of shocked at the size and apparent power of the initiative. They appear to have a lot of money, maybe as much money as the school, and have their own secret underground laboratory inside of a fraternity that has been there for who knows how long. Like, it's this immensely powerful force, and it's crazy that this is the first time we're running into it. But I guess it's buried beneath the college, so maybe it's just that a force so large can operate so independently of the Scooby Gang, not even or Giles, no one even knowing about it is pretty insane. It feels like just a random story bit that like, oh, here's a surprise reveal that we haven't dropped enough information or justified, but like here it is, and like I'm excited about it because it's a really fun thing to add to the universe of Buffy. So I am excited about it overall, but it does feel like just kind of bullshit as an institution. I can't imagine Riley and Walsh running this organization. How they would ever get the money for this if like they're struggling to like make students feel ashamed for not like taking psych seriously. The juxtaposition of like their university life and that life is just so huge and vast that like it's hard for me to take the initiative seriously. But I guess I'm along for the ride because I'm enjoying the Buffy experience. But like those people would never run that organization. There's no
It does make it really weird that in Wild at Heart, Maggie Walsh talks about being attacked by like two large animals to Riley, like out in open campus, and she acts like she's never seen anything like them. Like that makes that scene really like not make a lot of sense.
Well, it's a misdirect. It's just a misdirect.
Do you think the guys in the initiative frat like ever like got into fights before with the guys who were in the lizard cult sacrifice frat?
Right.
No, they No, neither of them knew each other existed because the initiative has no information about these monsters.
And Blizzard House is actually a different college that we've never mentioned. Like,
I assumed that was just UC Sunnydale because it was the nearest college, but no, you don't think so?
no, it's like they name it at the time, and it's like some private college or something.
Okay.
Okay,
Never
here's what's
mentioned
really
it.
going on with the initiative. The initiative is like they have what was like the remains of an old psych institution that was a creepier, larger government entity that was like super well funded and looked into like racial profiling and augmentation, genetic mutations. But those people all passed away or like got furloughed into real military contracts and ongoing things. And so that institution, the bare bones of it, was left to the people who were volunteering at that organization, Professor Walsh and Riley, who had no idea what they were picking up. And then the people there were the military contractors who had nothing to do with the actual decision-making in that institution. They stayed on, and Riley and Walsh moved into the kind of superior roles looking over that organization, even though they had no real plan or how they're going to move it forward. And it continues to be funded by the government into a black hole or this black box because the government doesn't know what it's funding anyway because it's so many deep levels of secrecy away from them. So that's how the incompetence is allowed to survive. Anyway, that's just a theory.
Wait,
You
so
thought
the
about
funding-
this really like a lot.
That's a really long prediction for John to type out.
Yeah. Also, so like the funding is like a B613 situation where like the government has no idea that it's funding this.
Absolutely not. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
state school, right? Like
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a state school.
with no sports team.
Like, how do y'all feel about Riley? He starts off the show, right? Like with his own scene, he's like observing Buffy. So
Yeah,
how
we're
do y'all
following
feel
him.
about that?
I always enjoy it. When a show takes a break from the regular characters to follow like a side character. Like those are always kind of my favorite episodes. Less so with Riley, just because I don't like Riley as much. But like, I mean, you know, I always like. Did you watch the most recent example I can think of is? Did you watch like the second season of Atlanta? They do like an
and it kind of
episode
switches
where,
around.
yeah,
Those are
like I like episodes like that where they're not following Earn, where they're following like some other character, and like they get into a way more insane series of events than like.
Yeah, the best episode was the one where it was all Darius. So that is true. But it's Riley. And the dialogue's weird.
He's better than who was the guy from season 1 who was even blander than Riley? Like I feel like
Owen.
I feel like
Owen.
on scale like Owen, then it's like Owen, then it's like maybe Riley, then Parker, then Angel and Spike are like the interesting males so far. You know,
Buffy's tastes in men are apparently like monsters and then really boring normal dudes.
Yeah,
well, at least Riley's not like obsessed with like one book or like one author.
Yeah, it's true. He doesn't call any books his security blanket.
Yeah.
God, that was so weird. Like he's just kind of incompetent. Like he doesn't have any weird personality quirks. He's not OCD. He's just kind of not good at anything he's supposed to be doing.
So you guys kind of already answered this question a little throughout the episode, but I asked if there's any good fanfic that comes directly out of this episode. And I am happy to hear that the sludge machine is part of fan fiction history.
Yes.
All the submissions for that were so good.
Yeah, we did get a couple for that frozen yogurt machine specifically, but like this episode in particular, there was a Spike and Riley one. Again, that was really good. It was really good. It was different and it was good. But yeah, the frozen yogurt machine, we got submissions for like the janitor, like what he has to deal with every day, cleaning up the school, and just like not questioning all the gross stuff that's happening all the time.
And then there was one where Spike and Buffy had to like both get jobs, so they both got jobs at a demon run frozen yogurt thing, and a whole bunch of unruly demon kids came in at night because their parents are working and they're with like this like summer camp, day camp, or night camp babysitters. And that one was so cute. But the one that won was is kind of like a demon dimension, like a pocket dimension that Buffy ended up in, and the demon who built it didn't understand what yogurt flavor was, so it was like black olive and what was the other flavor, like relish?
No, it was pickles and black olive flavor yogurt. It was
And then that's also the winner who was at WhedonCon with us.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm trying to think of any other like no, like those flavors were great imagery because she said they were like slugs. But I can't remember any other fan fictions we've had with Riley except for one where it was a Buffy Spike and like it really wailed on like Buffy dumping Riley. It was like a brutal scene. Like it was such a brutal scene. Even I felt bad for Riley. And oh my god, it's the fan fiction with the talking Spike's penis starts talking and then he has sex and then another body organ starts talking and that one was fun. But that's as much like Riley initiative we get so far in I think our submissions.
Yeah. Definitely like Riley fan fiction isn't as popular as other fan fictions, but it is out there.
Yeah. And the initiative, besides like the brutality of the Xander Spike one, it hasn't really been mentioned that much in the fan fiction we've done. That's why I should look for a new initiative story. That'd be cool.
I feel like I should do my history of the initiative story, the real story of this government organization that's moved on and left incompetence in charge.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. We'll interview you.
All right.
Looks like we got some more questions. Jenny, you got the next one?
So you kind of already answered this one, though. When they did the big reveal of Riley at the initiative with Professor Walsh at the helm, like, what was your reaction for everybody, like, when you watched it for the first time? Do you remember?
I don't remember because I did watch this episode as it aired. I remember being like puzzled by like the SWAT guys before the initiative was revealed, and I remember actually having like a phone call with Travis about it. But I don't. Once it's revealed, I don't remember what my reaction was. If it was satisfaction.
You guys talked on the phone about this?
Yeah, I would. Sometimes I would call Travis
so much what's happening
after Buffy. I would be like, Travis, did you watch that?
Yeah, we would talk. It wasn't all just like calling Mike every day, Mike. Some of the other minor characters in your life did call each other.
We had interactions you didn't see, Mike.
No, obviously.
But back in high school, Travis and I feel like we're the only ones who are really into Buffy. So we would, yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. Even though, of course, I gave Dennis some shit in 9th grade, but he forgave me, and the rest is history. Yeah, we were watching it in real time. I remember enjoying the initiative. I remember enjoying season 4, like as it happened, being like, yeah, this is awesome. Like I had no problems with the plot line for season 4.
There's a big thing I remember from the end of season 4 that obviously I can't talk about now, but I remember like missing a huge chunk because I got confused. We'll talk about that later. Quincy?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like this could already be complained by Mike's whole like theory of how like Professor Walsh and Riley got in charge, but because it's like the initiative versus the Scoobies, if like they have running tallies, who would be more effective? Like, I guess it's kind of just like money versus knowledge, because the initiative has this whole setup, but they don't have Giles, who like is a trained watcher or whatever. So I was wondering what you guys think. Like, do you think the initiative would be more effective or the Scoobies?
That's interesting, right? Because like you bring up Giles as a watcher, and like the Scoobies are Giles' like former Watcher Council. Like the Watcher world is its own kind of initiative-like organization, or so you imagine, but they're clearly underfunded, or they don't care as much to spend money on Giles's gear or supplies or a place for him to be. I feel like the Scoobies are clearly more effective. They've like averted the end of the world at least twice, and the initiative has managed to is barely able to handle the goings on in a college campus. So, yeah, the Scoobies are way more effective.
Good answer.
It's just from that what if Buffy got funding line, and made me think about how effective funding actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the initiative at least has multiple people, because Buffy's only one person is the problem. And
Yeah.
I've talked about this, and Joyce has talked about this, that at the end of the day, how much is she doing really?
Stop being on Moo's side, man.
So there's a lot of vampires out there not getting staked is all I'm saying. You need more people.
At one point, so Spike is about to bite Willow, wait, hold on. Yeah, he's about to bite Willow, and he's like, okay, so this is my question. If Spike was going to kill you and gave you the choice to die or come back as a vampire, which would you choose?
I feel like if I was going to be a vampire, I would have liked to have been turned earlier, because it would feel crappy to have an eternity of back problems and being the weight I am now. It would have been nice to have been vamped a little more close to my prime. Oh, but losing my soul, I have no compunctions.
You're asking the biggest fan of monsters in the world. Of course, he's going to be like, yeah, turn me into some big badass monster.
Because thinking about it consciously now, I would choose to die because I like my soul. But if I was turned into a vampire, then I'd probably be fine. I'd have a complete personality change. I wouldn't care anymore. But as a person with a soul, I would like to keep my soul. So I guess I would rather just die.
Yeah, I think I'm not as prepared to be a vampire. I don't have a castle or a cave set up. I feel like I wouldn't last long as a vampire, so I'll see ya.
Now what if we got you an investment profile before you got staked, and we got you a real nice investment profile, Mike, with some stocks, some bonds.
This is the Interview with the Vampire Problem. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that book, but like, you know, Lestat has.
Have you heard of that book?
Lestat has to kill Louis because he doesn't know how to handle investments. You know, you inevitably.
Wait, is that the movie with?
Yeah, it's based on.
Is that the movie with Brad Pitt and Kristen Dunst?
Yes, and Antonio
Okay.
Banderas. Yeah, but Lestat has to kill Louis because he doesn't know how to manage his estates or make money or anything as a vampire, and he spends too much. So that's like, oh, that makes sense. You need an investor to stick around to help you out. Yeah, so maybe if we can arrange a situation, because Spike is clearly the profligate guy. Is going to get like he's irrational. Like you need and Harmony's not helpful. Like you need somebody like kind of who can handle their investments, and it's not me. So I feel like I'm not going to be very helpful in this.
But like you would think Willow would be like a good person to turn into a vampire because she'd still be organized and stuff. But it turns out Vamp Willow is like way different. So it's hard to predict with these things, right?
But it'd be cool if, Vamp, you turn Willow now, and then what if she was like some Vamp Willow witch? I think that'd be really cool. I don't know if you could be a vampire and a witch.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, because that'd be insane.
Yeah.
Why not start doubling up on powers?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the Vamp Slayer thing, of course, is like the most obvious one. But
What about you, John?
I mean, I don't want to kill people. Just kill me. It's fine. Sounds like a lot of work.
John, you can eat rats.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's true. If I
Rats,
if
pigs,
I was a
blood.
vampire, I wouldn't care.
Just go to the butcher shop. Make it
Yeah.
real.
If somebody offered me to be like a tortured, soulful vampire, like an angel situation, yeah, I'd probably go for that.
Oh, you got offered the angel situation?
Yeah, if somebody got me in the angel situation, I would go for that. I don't think I'd go for regular vampire because I don't want to be evil. I want to be a good person.
I think one time, John, you told me we were talking about Buffy, and you were like, if I was ever biting somebody and they tried to fight me, I'd immediately run away because you never know if they're the Slayer or not. So I imagine like attacking a lot of people and then getting scared off and like bolting.
That is how it would definitely be as a vampire.
I really don't have that many qualms of you actually being turned into a vampire, John, now that I think about it. I think the world would still be pretty darn safe. Sorry.
In one of the fanfics we've done, it's like Spike is stuck in a manor house. He's just stuck, but it's like stays pretty uninhabited for like 100 years. So he survives off of rats, and then when a family moves in, he becomes friends with the daughter, so he doesn't actually eat any of them. Like, would that be you as a vampire?
I think, yeah, something like that. I think I would end up like trying to figure out if I could get blood on Amazon Prime. I think that would be the main.
You probably can though.
Probably can now, yeah. If you can get blood on Prime, I'm in. All right, that's the bellwether.
In illegal streaming.
Jessica, what was your choice?
Oh, I would choose to be a vampire and just hope that like there could be a Jenny Calendar situation where they can get my soul back for me and to just live forever with superpowers and have my soul again. It'd be great.
But like, see, here's the thing. I don't want you to become a vampire because I feel like if you do, you're going to come after me pretty quickly.
Yeah. So get your orb ready.
Because isn't that the thing? Isn't that the thing? The vampire starts either killing or turning like whoever they were close to.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
like
That's
in Black Sabbath. That's the thing that the Boris Karloff vampire does.
And it's definitely the Buffy
Always
thing.
attack you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't just become a vampire.
I'm coming for you first, Quincy.
See, so don't choose to become a vampire.
Listen, let's see, as long as you don't like work at a public library or work at like somewhere where someone can just walk in, any old vampire can walk in, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, my job right now, you need a key card. I'm safe.
Perfect. Yeah, I totally vamp it up. Roll the dice on that. Why not? The world's already gonna end. I mean, the world is gonna end in my lifetime, so
The world is a vampire, so I might as well be a vampire.
Yeah.
I guess the last question is mine. Like, we already discussed the word Teutonic, but how do you guys feel about the word peculiar after this episode?
I just wish Cordelia was on this episode so she could turn to Riley and yell at him and say, "Get a new word." So, Mike, who would you pick to be a recurring character on the show? Harmony or Anya at this point? Like, we've gotten kind of these two characters post high school. Both have been on the show, a few episodes. Season 4.
Do I have to pick one of the two? Those are both
pick
such
one
great characters.
to get more screen time.
I feel like I like Anya more. I think Anya's more interesting right now.
Yeah. Okay. I think Harmony is like a much more stronger presence on the screen. Like her story is so much crazier. But
yeah, definitely. But if the culmination of the Harmony weirdness is like a slow motion strange fight, then like I would prefer Anya because Anya is like sexually tormenting Xander and like forcing him into strange circumstances, and also is this demon whose powers have not yet been revealed. So I feel like Anya has like way more interesting stuff going on than Harmony, who is a joy. I love when Harmony's on, but I feel like Anya's got more going on.
This is why you got to stay mysterious, I guess.
People in mystery. Yeah.
Keep that mystery.
Speaking of Harmony, why don't we move to recommendations?
Recommendations.
I'm going to recommend Addams Family Values just because Harmony's so good in this episode. I was going to say this for later, but like she's so good in the little screen she has. And Mercedes McNabb doesn't have this like really long film career, but she's the antagonist to Christina Ricci's Wednesday in Addams Family Values, and their scenes are really great together, so I'm going to recommend that. And like military and monsters is like a kind of a subgenre that there's a lot of stuff there, but I'm going to save a bunch of it for later, so I'll just I will drop like one good mix of military monsters. It's Hellboy with the BPRD. And I'm also going to recommend, even though it doesn't really have monsters, The Invisible Boy, just because I feel like that's like you've seen The Invisible Boy, John.
Yes, I have. It's a really good movie. I'm trying to figure out what the connection is to this episode.
I just feel like there's that kind of 1950s like scientist thing going on that the initiative kind of reminds me of.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's not like a really strong like one-to-one connection, but
right.
Like the way that like
the lab coat and pipe aesthetic, the like.
Yeah, that made me think of The Invisible Boy. And obviously there's going to be a lot more monsters and military to come, but those are my 3 recs for this episode.
Very good.
Yeah, The Invisible Boy is really good. It's Robbie the Robot's second appearance, and they basically wrote this really long plot for him because the Robbie the Robot costume was hanging around the lot, and they're like, we spent so much money on it for Forbidden Planet, and you need to put it in this movie. It's a fun movie. The kid turns invisible and the parents just don't care. It's so hard to impress a scientist's father.
There's like a giant supercomputer, right?
Yeah.
And like he flies around in like an invisible plane or something. It's weird. Good movie.
It's a weird one.
Like childhood fantasy movie.
So why don't we move to predictions?
Virgin predictions.
I'm sure we got a lot to talk about.
We got a little bit to talk about here. Okay, so first of all, for predictions, Mike is currently at a 63%, meaning that 63% of his predictions have come true, whereas the other, whatever that is, 39% have not, or 38% have not. So 37%. Sorry, I couldn't.
Way to math there.
Thank you. All right, so predictions that were resolved in this episode. So a couple of things here. First of all, Mike predicted in season 1, episode 11, Buffy will be involved with the U.S. government at some point. The show Buffy is involved with the government at this point. Is Buffy involved with the government?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. So we're going to leave that one alone. Okay, this one is something Dennis pointed out, and I'm really glad you did, Dennis. I don't think you knew there was a prediction about this, but in season 3, episode 9, Mike predicted that the Cthulhu demon from The Wish will not reappear. We all noticed this is one of the best costume monsters in all of Buffy, but it's only in one scene for some reason. And Mike predicted it'll never come back. But then I would like to refer everybody on the document to Exhibit A at the bottom. Here's the question, guys. Is this the same monster?
I think it is. I know we don't see its face, but
Yeah,
It
you
is
don't see
totally
it very
the same
close.
monster.
It definitely is.
the only thing that gives me pause is that the monster on the left from The Wish clearly has webbed hands, and the one on the right I don't think does.
wow, dude.
I'm
No,
gonna
I
need
feel like
a little bit more verification. I don't see the face.
That
I
looks
don't know how
webbed.
you identify this.
Well, if you look at his like ribs, those are definitely the same.
Yeah.
If you look at like his upper shoulder plate thing, that looks the same. He's got like spurs coming off of his wrists that look the same. They're pretty similar.
Hands over here. Yeah.
I say it
it's
is.
webbed to me. And because like if you go into this corner by the guy with the IV, you see like the end of a tentacle. Like I totally feel like that's the same thing.
Oh, good call. I see that. We need to make that we'll put a red circle around that, and that'll be the thumbnail on YouTube.
Okay.
So I think we need to put this one to a vote. Really quickly, Travis, what do you say? Is this prediction denied?
Yeah, that's definitely the Cthulhu demon.
Okay, Travis says it's the same demon. Dennis, you say it's the same demon?
Mm-hmm.
Quincy?
Yeah, I totally think that's the same one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And Jenny?
Same. Yeah,
okay,
same.
that is a denied prediction. Sorry, Mike. I honestly thought for sure that demon was not going to reappear, but thanks to Dennis's eyes.
My eyes are drawn to monsters.
I believe that is all of the old predictions that we have to handle in this episode. All right, new predictions, Mike?
Yeah. So Professor Walsh isn't going to lecture about monsters, even though she has all this knowledge. She will not be lecturing about them.
Like in class? Or
Yeah.
could she lecture in the initiative? Or
I don't mean like standing in front of a group of troops and telling them about monsters. I mean in the classroom.
Okay.
Professor Walsh is going to get killed this season. Riley is going to take over can I just call it the initiative?
Sure.
The initiative is not going to capture a werewolf.
Specific.
Well, I mean, they can barely capture a vampire.
Are werewolves harder?
Yeah, also they're done for this season, so I don't feel like they're going to...
No more werewolves. Do you want to say that? No more werewolves in season 4?
No, I mean, Oz still has an opportunity to come back and be heroic, so...
Okay.
yeah, you have Oz predictions from last episode.
Yeah, I think Oz is going to show up and do something heroic this season, but, like, I don't...
Do I have this right? I don't remember this. You predicted in the last episode, Mike, that Oz will save Willow in a platonic way, and also Oz will save Willow in a non-platonic way. I have both those down.
Oh, shoot. I meant just platonic. I didn't mean to confuse you. He's not going to save her and then, like, go for a kiss. He will just save her and be Oz. Like,
Got it. Okay.
Romantic save.
All right. So that having handled predictions for this episode, that leaves Mike at a 62.6. So your numbers have fallen, but only just.
Uh-oh.
We keep waiting for Mike to cross over the line of 60% where he will be failing.
It's inevitable.
I love these predictions.
Wait, if he fails, does the show win? Like,
Does the show win?
I think I win. I get to make fun of him. But I suppose I get to do that no matter what.
Yeah, you don't need a special spreadsheet to make fun of me.
If you want to play the home game, the spreadsheet of all of Mike's predictions is available at buffyvirgin.com.
All right, while you're doing that, let's move on to themes and deep stuff.
Deep stuff.
It looks like Jenny's got the first one.
Yeah, so this, for Willow specifically, dealing with the very painful feelings of breakup, especially for her, it's her first love. And that carries through the entire episode. Yeah, painful.
And I feel like Buffy talks a good game about being a good friend to her, but like we don't really see it. She's like Willow's alone a lot.
Ditched her at that party.
Yeah. Like Buffy at the beginning is like, I've been on like friend duty, but like we haven't really seen her actually put in the time to help comfort her friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus how are you going to be on friend duty at a party? Like, I don't feel like that's necessarily Willow even wanted to go with that.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Okay.
It's like Buffy's trying to take Willow to a party, but we're all following it from like this weird Willow-Riley thing. Yeah. It's not really about Willow.
Yeah, like this entire episode isn't about Willow.
Even though it's
Even
like,
the Willow Spike scene is about Spike. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like her pain isn't getting like the front story, I guess.
I got that
But-
great reaction from Professor Walsh, right?
Yeah, that is true. But I do think that Allison Hannigan's portrayal of that pain is like very real.
Yeah.
She's doing like a very good job at that.
All right, let's move on to the next question, the next theme then.
okay, because this tripped me out because this viewing was the first part I ever really like thought of it that way. Because in the past episode of Sunnydale Fanfic, we talked about Giles has literally nothing to do. But this is the first episode where like Xander also has nothing to do, and they're trying to solve that by just hanging out and like preparing for not being needed, I guess. Like, even the quote that I chose from the beginning, Xander suggesting like they raised a demon, so they have something to do. Like, I don't know, because I just focused on watching that when I watched the episode for my notes, and I was just like, wow, this is very depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think like one thing Giles seemed to want at the beginning of the season was if Buffy is no longer like working with the Watchers Council, like she graduated, right? They make that like, I think of like graduation comparison, like she shouldn't be going to him for advice all the time anymore, right? Like she's like, that's what, as the like father figure, what you want is like for people to like move past you, right? But they're all having growing pains. Like Giles is now trying to hang out with them as friends, and it's weird.
Yeah, the like, I don't know, I guess it's just trying to adjust to the whole thing with like them all being in college and Xander isn't, and them all being young and Giles just trying to figure out how to be just friends or whatever. Like, it was just a very weird thing of like Xander and Giles preparing for nothing.
Giles
Yeah.
and Xander are dealing with their own breakup from the group. They're like, what do we do now?
Where do we go from here?
They're completely useless.
Yeah, and they're not even good yet, like doing the thing that they're doing, right? The preparation stuff, right? Like I mean, I guess that's the uselessness. But like they're preparing these military weapons and stuff, and like Xander doesn't remember how to do it. Giles sort of knows what he's doing. Yeah, gosh, really, yeah, good read on that. That's totally a deep theme, because that was going on in Wild at Heart also, the episode just before this one, where Giles is trying to like hang out at the Bronze, and like he doesn't really belong there, and it's super obvious.
John, I feel like you're accusing us of something here at this next one.
I am. I probably shouldn't speak for anybody but myself. I do feel like there's this thing. So there's the scene early on where you've got Riley being like, I just, she's a person. I like her for being a person, even though I don't know anything about her. And then you've got Forrest being like, but she's hot. Let's talk about how she's super hot, and you're gonna have sex with her. I feel like this is a trope in the way that dude friendships are portrayed, and I'm thinking about like specifically like Kevin Smith movies where there's like a protagonist who's like, I'm the sensitive guy, and then he's always got a wacky best friend with like a backwards baseball hat who's gonna like talk about penises and boobs or whatever. And I think that as a dude, for me anyway, I've always like inside of my own self have felt like, oh, I'm the sensitive guy, I'm the protagonist character. All my friends are the wacky foul-mouthed ones. I think if I'm honest, I equally play the other role, or at least I have at different times played the other role. It's really a perspective thing, right?
Yes, John, you're correct. Yes.
I think what makes us also weird is that we all felt like we were the sensitive protagonist one. That's why we're such a weird group.
Doesn't everybody feel that way though? I think that's my question. We're all Riley, right? We all think of ourselves as Riley, but really we're also Forrest sometimes.
I think we're more. I mean, I don't know if I'm either of those.
Well, I mean, thank God. I think as adults,
I'm more Jonathan than anything else, which is ironic.
Yeah, Jonathan's definitely
Jonathan on the podcast. I'm more Jonathan, apparently.
Jonathan drinking a big gulp is who I am.
It's definitely a trope. Mike, you're saying something about this trope. I don't know. It feels like this trope is going away in modern TV, or modern TV basically has much better things to talk about than to have this recur. But it's definitely like an 80s trope as well. Like this is a hardcore John Hughes.
Are you Teen Wolf or are you Shades?
Yeah.
This is a hardcore John. Yeah. Is it? I don't know.
Like I'm thinking about The Office because I just watched it through for the first time. But it kind of seems like if we're going through the Riley and Forrest dynamic, everyone on the show is a Forrest, except Jim can be a Riley, except he actually has a personality, so he's not a Riley. But like, it kind of seems they're just like acknowledging that all guys have both, and yeah. Also, Michael Scott is a creep. All of them are creeps.
Yeah, if anyone.
The Office was a very good show.
Yeah, I don't like when people say Michael Scott's a good boss. They're wrong.
He's not. I wanted him to get fired so many times.
He should have gotten fired for that Willy Wonka stunt with the golden ticket.
I think the thing people are like, all the bosses after Michael Scott are like so much worse that people like reflect back wistfully on Michael Scott, right?
Yeah,
because Andy was actually the worst. Like,
he bailed out.
Andy's such a garbage human being.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what John says about the troped character here. The sensitive guy that likes a girl for no reason except she's hot, but claims there's other reasons, doesn't know anything about her. You know, Riley goes the one step to find out, oh, what's she like? Cheese? Great. Oh, that's enough for us to relate on. You know, like that sensitive character is totally like the thing, the clay with which all John Hughes films were ever made. And like, it is a broken character because it leads guys to think that like this kind of stalker behavior is okay, because these guys that like from afar and like without knowing or like without a relationship, like that's okay, right? And it's like so much creepy dude behavior is buried in that Riley Forrest relationship, which is like about how you feel about girls, and then like I'm having this sensitive emotional relationship with this person I'm not talking to, and like I feel like you think that it is that, but because you're not communicating with that person, it's not. It's literally not a relationship. And it's this weird thing that movies created this character that like guys identify with and want to. And it's like, it's a totally unhealthy character.
It's very John Cusack.
Yeah, the John Cusack character.
It's the John Cusack character, the sensitive good guy who the movie shows you, or the movie tries to paint as a good person, but really just like follows somebody around a lot, like harasses them at night sometimes, inexplicably. Yeah.
Sounds like we're talking about Twilight.
But the story kind of tells you though, it's like, oh, you could get girls to like you if you just pay them any attention at all. Like you can get a relationship started by paying attention to someone, and like that is true, but not that you shouldn't do it this terrible way. But like the cultural programming is there, and I don't know why it's so rampant. Maybe it's gone. I mean, I can't think of a modern romantic comedy to like set an archetypal character for how young people today are like, oh, that's what romance looks like.
So in a way, we need Forrest in order to sell the idea that Riley's a good guy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Because otherwise he's a creep. Yeah. He's only not a creep because the other guys with so much is just worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Graham was just nice standing there in the background.
Graham's got his weird Canada baggage. We don't know. There's a story there.
Canada and milk.
Yeah. And also, that guy's neck is enormous.
Yeah, dude is huge. Let's start talking about erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, another deep emotional problem in this story.
So-
Well, it's so funny that this whole scene with Spike and Willow about him eating her or, you know, sucking her blood, you know, through the series, it's kind of like rape. They kind of play it off that way, but the erectile dysfunction where they go into it a little bit further and it's like, oh, we'll try again later. Oh, it's my fault, huh? You can't do it because of me. Like, I thought that whole scene was so funny, but I mean, yeah, the kind of whole vampire thing, playing it off like in a sexual way, kind of carries through from the beginning until here.
Yeah, and it's not just Buffy. It's like that's like the vampire mythos, right? Is like built around this like the sexual desires, right?
Yeah, it's a very sexual experience.
So to kind of to turn it on its head and be like, what's the when it doesn't function? Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, this obviously is another one where Travis gets disillusioned after watching Buffy in the year 2018. But yeah, I mean, it's just so sad. It was like pretty clearly this kind of catastrophic rape scene in college, you know, with Spike on top of Willow holding her neck. I mean, it was just awful. And then, you know, 2 minutes later, it's like, haha, let's crack some jokes. I don't know, just kind of real downer note for me, thematically.
Yeah. Plus, like, for the active shooter part, it's a trip because Buffy says they explained it as a frat prank. And it's like, I feel like you shouldn't have gone with that, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the time that, you know, this aired, the issues were a lot different too, and it affects us now a lot more, especially with like the shootings and college rape specifically gets more attention now than it did back probably when this episode aired. So looking at it now is probably like a way different lens than when it aired, because these things weren't, well, I guess the shootings definitely, but a different lens at the time.
Yeah,
but
well,
it
yeah.
doesn't. But it's not a rape, and it's not a school shooting. It's just like the framing of a rape, the framing of a shooting. They would never do that now, right? It's just like the
Except
Right.
hands being still.
Yeah, the episode wants to like it wants to bring up some of this stuff, deploy it, and then really for the joke, for the tonal shift, right?
I'll defend. I'm not going to defend like a rape joke or whatever, but I am going to say that just because things are tragic doesn't mean like you can't find humor in the tragedy. Like, this episode, like maybe this doesn't work in this scene, but like I just think in general when you're like tragedy isn't devoid of humor. Like the saddest days of people's lives, they still laugh during. So those like I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say. I just think like just because you're bringing up something like intense and real doesn't mean you can't still find like moments of levity in it, because nobody's life is like totally dramatic, right? Like I don't know. I'm pro finding humor in things, even though like I don't know. I've had tragedies in my life and I definitely laugh during them, right? That's sometimes your reaction to sad news. You just got to figure out the way to do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they want a fun way to show this weird implant working. So they have a plan for Spike, a neutered Spike in the show. And like, this is the, you know, I guess if there's a rumor about Willow dying, like, yeah, sending Spike after a beloved character and then he's going to get her except for this one weakness that you don't even know he has yet. And then playing it off. I mean, that's an appropriate funny way because he doesn't know what it even is. I don't know. It is funny. I'm not saying everyone's like enjoying the scene. It's just, it's super weird and like not maybe how any of us would write that scene or like how you would think about presenting a scene where like you want to show Spike's weakness, have him play rape kill Willow. I would have him go up for Buffy, but I guess Willow is an easier target. So.
All right. Well, this has been a fun episode. I've been your host, Dennis St. John. You can find my comics online, DENISCOMIX on Twitter. That's my .com also. Jenny and Quincy, where can we find your podcast and other such things?
Yeah, so we have a website, thesunnydalefanficclub.com. We also have Facebook, Twitter, and a Tumblr, all with the Sunnydale Fanfic Club handle. And yeah, that's where you can find us. And we're on iTunes and Google Play.
Yep.
Nice. All right. Well, Mike, what are you up to?
Just at Michael Poley on Twitter. Don't worry about that.
We'll see you in hell.